Alright guys, the latest big trade rumor in the NHL is the fact that Elias Pettersson, Elias Pettersson, PD, whatever you want to say, is potentially not willing to sign long-term with Vancouver Canucks. The rumor is that there's frustration there, but there's no intel he wants out. This could just be a situation where he wants, a shorter 4-year deal, kind of like Matthews took, where the Canucks want an 8-year deal. Now I will say before we get started, I saw a bunch of mock trades that use the Jack Eichel trade as the comparable for this, saying, Jack Eichel went for Krebs, Tuck, a first and a second. PD will go for like a bit more than that. The thing is, Jack Eichel was coming off a potential career-ending injury. Like, it was that severe. Luckily, obviously, he came back. He also had never put up 100 points in his career. I think a much better comparable would be the Matthew Tkachuk trade, which was an absolute haul for the Flames. Huberdeau, 100-point guy. Mackenzie Weegar, top-ranked defenseman. Cole Schwindt's a decent prospect and a first. At the time, everybody thought Florida overpaid. As it turns out, Florida won that trade. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. When we look at PD's production here, last season he put up 100 points. This season he's on pace for 100 points. He's currently top 10 NHL in scoring. He's also got a very solid defensive game. I looked at the analytics here. Aside from the 22 season, always solid defensively. I think if the Canucks do end up trading him, it is going to cost a haul. Again, the Eichel trade, nowhere near what it would cost. I think the Matthew Tkachuk trade is a much better comparable for what teams are going to have to give up. And I'll look at PD in-game here, guys. You can see highly valued player, 24 years old, 92 overall. Highly potential, of course, has 1 year left there on his $7.3 million contract. He's looking to get paid. I've heard that he rejected a $12 million offer from the Canucks. I'm not sure if that's true. I think $12 million would be more than fair for him. I mean, that's McDavid, McKinnon, Matthews money. And he gave me here, you can see playmaker. Again, very well-rounded, like 5 stars in everything basically except for physical. Very hard shot. I mean, there's no reason why this guy cannot get a haul. If the Canucks do have to trade for him, I don't think they're looking for prospects and picks. I think they're going to still be trying to compete right now. Again, very similar to the Tkachuk trade. You bring in Huberdeau and Weegar. You're not trying to rebuild. You're trying to, keep competing. Now, the first team here, guys, the Anaheim Ducks. I've already kind of played around with this a bit, so I know Leo Carlsson, Mason McTavish, which would be kind of an insane 1-2 punch of the future for the Canucks. Does not make this trade go through. Yasek just going to be there for the roster spot, probably all video, because they're at the max, but as you can see, yeah, Carlsson, McTavish, they say no to, which is kind of nuts, but again, you look at the Tkachuk trade, that's 2 big pieces. Then you throw on a 2024 first. You know what? Let's try to be a bit more realistic. We'll say the Ducks know they're going to suck this year, so they bank on 2025 being better. And the Canucks still reject that. So let's say they want to keep the 2024 first. Maybe get Celebrini. 2 firsts, 25-26, plus Carlsson, McTavish. Does get them PD, but that is an absolute haul for the Canucks. Also, too, guys, with that Anaheim trade, I totally forgot to mention I had the trade difficulty set to easy in-game, and it still costs that much. That's like the most realistic we can actually get the trade engine. And now for the Arizona Coyotes, you're probably looking at Clayton Keller and Logan Cooley as the base. I actually noticed on the Canucks here, this plastic guy who they have on the block, not Yasek, so we'll try using him now for the extra player. I doubt they say yes. Yeah, so it's going to cost 1, maybe 2 first-round picks, just like the Anaheim deal. Again, I mean, the Canucks are making out, I think, very well here. They say no to the 1 first. Literally would have to give up 2 firsts, even if you say, like, they keep the 2024 and, bank on being good the next 2 years. That is an insane amount. They're actually saying no to Keller, Cooley, and 2 firsts. Oh my goodness. Rather than trading a 3rd first, let's try adding Dylan Guenther, who really should have been a Canuck if they never made that trade for Ekman Larson. Love Jet Wu coming back there for the roster spot. And the trade is still rejected. Okay, so I don't know if the Coyotes can actually make a trade happen. You know what? Their 2024 first, I think, does have more value than the rest. Let's try doing that one there. Keller, Cooley, 3 firsts for PD. Yeah, Canucks rejected, so the Coyotes literally cannot trade for him. All right, guys, I'm looking at the Boston Bruins here. David Pastrnak actually has more value than PD, so it wouldn't make sense for them to trade him. They could trade Charlie McAvoy 1-for-1 if they think their defense is good enough. You bring in PD to be the first line center, which honestly Boston really does need a 1C. Him and Pastrnak could be a sick duo, and then Vancouver probably has the best top D pair in the league with Quinn Hughes on the left side, McAvoy on the right side. Let's see if Canucks say yes, 1-for-1. Trades rejected, just a bit low. So try throwing in a 3rd round pick here. I already tried a 4, 5, 6, and 7. They said no to all of that. 3rd round pick, though, gets it to go through. So McAvoy in the 3rd for PD. That would be a blockbuster. Now look at the Buffalo Sabres here, guys. Maybe they sell high on Tage Thompson. They think he was just a bit of a flash in the pan there a couple seasons. They have Darlene. Maybe they look at Owen Powers, a guy that they can move. I doubt these 2 alone get it done based on the Ducks trade, the Coyotes trade. Yeah, that's rejected. So we're going to have to add 1, if not 2, first-round picks. The 1 first is not enough. Try adding a 2nd here. Still rejected. Saving salary to resign. Interesting. All right, guys, so I made a separate trade, clearing some salary cap for the Canucks. We'll see if they say yes now to Thompson, Power, and 2 firsts. And they do. All right, so before we go through that, let's try a 1st and a 2nd. They said no, just a bit low. I feel like Buffalo would probably rather hold on to a first-round pick. Let's try 2nd and 3rd this year, 1st next year, and that goes through. And looking at the Flames here, guys, I don't think they can make this trade happen either. They're going to try offering up Uyghur and Anderson. So the Canucks defense will be stacked at that point. And then honestly, I think their first round picks have more value than any other players. So let's see what the Canucks say to this one. I'm thinking it's a reject. And yeah, they say no. So the Canucks and Flames have made a lot of deals, but this is one they can't make. And now next year, guys, we have the Carolina Hurricanes making a big-time offer for Elias Pettersson. You got Aho and Slavin, both 91s, pretty much identical value. I'm actually retaining on Aho's contract for this year because Canucks will be over the max. I feel like they say yes to this. This might be like the best trade for the Canucks. And they reject it just a bit low. I feel like Aho's not too far off of Petey, and then you get a legit top-pairing defenseman in Slavin. Try adding like a third. They still say no. So it's kind of weird. Like when you're making a trade for big-time players, the just a bit low is clearly not a 7th rounder. They said no to the Carolina second. Let's try adding the Flyers second. Alright, guys, so I took back another contract from the Canucks to reduce their salary. We'll see if now they say yes to this deal. And they do. So Aho, Slavin, and a second for Petey. And now next, you guys with the Chicago Blackhawks obviously could trade Connor Bedard. We're going to try and avoid that for starters. And so we'll go Korchinski here as a young defenseman with potential, as well as 3 first-rounders. I think if this doesn't go through, I might try something crazy. And yeah, the trade's rejected. So just for fun, because Bedard's from Vancouver, maybe, you know, Chicago gets win. The Canucks don't want Petey. Maybe Bedard says, you know, he plans on leaving to Vancouver in a few years' time anyways. So let's see what the Canucks would say to this. The blockbuster of blockbusters, Petey and Hughes, their best forward, their best defenseman, the 2 faces of that team for Connor Bedard. This potentially would be like the biggest trade in NHL history. It'd be up there with like the Gretzky trade, the Lindros trade. Bedard for Petey and Hughes. Let's see what the Canucks say. Trades rejected. Okay, I figured that might be the case. Let's try also throwing in a couple first-round picks. And now they said yes. Okay, so they said no to the 1 first, but 2 first gets it to go through. Imagine that happened. I mean, the Canucks now just completely rebuilding with Bedard, and the Chicago Blackhawks all of a sudden have a team to compete. All right, guys, we now have the Colorado Avalanche. We have McCarr, McKinnon, and Rantanen, all with more value than Petey. So we're going to try trading Taves and Byram here. Taves, 90 overall defenseman. Byram there, elite potential, plus 3 first-round picks. They say no. Okay, so I kind of figured that was going to happen. What I think we're going to have to do here is actually trade Rantanen and then maybe get back something else from the Canucks. Maybe the Avs decide they'd rather have a nasty 1-2 punch opposed to, you know, having McKinnon and Rantanen play together. So I think, honestly, like, it's so hard to tell, and these trade values are huge. But actually, you know what, guys? Just to be safe, let's try starting out with 4 first-round picks, just because, like I said, when the trade values are this high, it's really hard to gauge what they should be. Okay, so the Canucks said no to the 4 first-rounders. 3 first-rounders and Petey for Rantanen. They still say no, sweeten the value just a touch. I tried adding a 3rd-round pick, the Avs side. They still said no, so we'll just change one of the first there to a 2nd. And now the trade goes through. So Petey, 2 firsts and a 2nd for Rantanen. That's nuts. And now using the Blue Jackets here, guys, we're trying to make a similar trade to the one we did with the Ducks. Fantilli's are Carlson. Johnson's are McTavish. He's actually from, I think, Vancouver area. We then have a couple first-round picks, avoiding 2024, since we already know it's going to be a high pick. And the Ducks do say yes. So honestly, like, I don't know, CBJ fan, let me know what you think. I feel like this trade definitely depends on how good Fantilli gets. If he ends up just being, you know, a regular 1C, then CBJ probably win this trade. Alright, guys, so now next year with the Dallas Stars, I'm thinking Heiskanen 1-for-1 probably gets this to happen. Dallas's defense wouldn't be as good, but their offense would be absolutely stacked. The Canucks reject that. They said sweeten the value just a touch. So rather than adding, you know, a 2nd-round pick or something to Heiskanen, as he would just decimate the Dallas Stars defense, what about just trading Jason Robertson 1-for-1? I'd be curious to hear from Stars fans. Would you have Robertson or Petey? I think personally, Petey's the center. Again, has a better defensive game. I would lean his way, but in-game, Robertson's actually 1 overall higher. All right, guys, now as the Red Wings here, we got to add Mo Sider. Hurts me to do, but he's got the highest value. Going to try and avoid Larkin here, instead add ADB. Draft picks. That Bruins first doesn't really have a lot of value, so we'll have to do a 2025 first and probably a 2026 first. This would be similar to the Anaheim and Columbus trades with Carlson and Fantilli. Canucks reject that. Interesting. The value so much further on our side. Let's try throwing in that Boston first-round pick. Still rejected. All right, so we'll try a future first there that has a bit more value. And now it goes through. So Sider, ADB, 3 firsts for Petey. That's tough. And now this is going to be tough as the Edmonton Oilers, guys. All they have really is McDavid and Draisaitl. We can try trading Nuge, Hyman, Bouchard, and 2 first-round picks. But I have a feeling it's not going to be enough. I even retained half the salary there of Hyman. I don't see them saying yes. Just not a big enough piece coming back. And yeah, trades rejected. So kind of like the Rantanen one. Let's see what the Canucks would have to add with Petey to get Draisaitl. I mean, we saw with Bedard they wouldn't do Hughes plus Petey. Let's just have some fun with this one. Draisaitl, Nurse for Petey and Hughes. Canucks reject. Okay, so let's basically see how many firsts they would add. Try Petey and 4 firsts here for Draisaitl. The Canucks said no. 3 firsts though, they say yes. I think Oilers probably lose that unless the Canucks start playing really bad. And I'll look at the Florida Panthers here, guys. I think Barkov would be a pretty even 1-for-1. He's also 92 overall. Now, he's 28 while Petey's 24, so he is 4 years older. We'll try this 1-for-1. Canucks say no. I think it's probably not far off, though. He's also making $10 million. Petey's going to want more than that. The Panthers have no first-round picks because they're not afraid to make big, blockbuster deals. So let's see if they want to make another one here. And there we go. Canucks say yes. Barkov in a first. And now next year, guys, with the LA Kings, they might be another team who can't trade for Petey. So I'm offering up Kevin Fiala, their highest valued player. Doughty I'm not including because he just has making too much money, $11 million. We're also adding Brant Clark there and Quinton Byfield, both elite prospects on their entry-level deals. I've also thrown in a first-round pick. Let's see what the Canucks say. And the trade there is rejected. So all we can do now is add a second first and hope they say yes. Like I was saying, I don't think they're going to go for it. And yeah, they say no. So Kings cannot trade for Petey, which is kind of nuts. And now next year, guys, Minnesota, we got another interesting 1-for-1. Kaprizov here, same overall, a couple years older. His potential is actually higher. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be high franchise. Sometimes in this game, when guys are 26, the potential actually change based on their rating, which I think is what happened there. 1-for-1, let's see what the Canucks think. Trades rejected. I mean, this is another one where I think it's probably a coin flip. Does a second-round pick on our side get it done? It does. And now next year, guys, with the Montreal Canadiens offering up Slavkovsky, so they get a former first overall pick, Cole Caulfield. You could do him or Suzuki. I feel like Suzuki, though, if he has the same value and higher rated, Montreal would keep. Lane Hudson there, obviously a great young defenseman. And then a first-round pick, I think, 2025. Try and hold on to 2024 if we can. Canucks, they reject that trade. Let's try throwing on a second first-round pick. Still rejected. Last thing we can do here is use the 2024 instead of 2026 for a slight boost. And the Canucks still say no, so Montreal can also not trade for Petey. Alright, guys, and now next year's the National Predators. We could do another 1-for-1. Roman Josi for Petey. Josi there's quite a bit older at 33. Nashville's kind of rebuilding, retooling. I think they would definitely like, Petey as their 1C. Kind of like the Boston trade, Josi, Hughes. If you run them as a top pair, it'd be unreal. So let's see what Vancouver says to this. Trades rejected, too far off. Let's try it in first round pick here. And they do say yes. Okay, so Josi in a first for Petey. Interesting. All right, guys. Now, as the Devils, we probably could trade Jack Hughes 1-for-1. Same rating as potential. But instead, I'm going to try trading Hischier and Luke Hughes along with a couple firsts and a second. Pretty similar, I think, to the Red Wings offer. Let's see what the Canucks say. Trades rejected. Okay, so I'll bump this up to 3 firsts. If they say no, we'll probably have to give up Jack Hughes. If they say no to Jack Hughes, we could literally just trade the 2 Hughes brothers, which seems like a crazy overpay. And wow, Canucks do say no to that. So we might have to give up the Hughes brothers for Petey, reunite all 3. We'll try Jack here 1-for-1. They say no. All right, trying to make this a little bit more fair. Jack and Luke Hughes for Petey, Lekermacki, Willander. The Canucks 2 top prospects there. And they're saying yes. So, I mean, this would be massive. I figure you might as well have some fun, add a couple guys to the Canucks side. And New Jersey and Vancouver fans, let me know what you think about that. And next year, guys, with the New York Islanders, and for the first time, I'm actually going to try trading a goalie. I know that the Canucks don't really need one. They have Demko, but Sorokin there has just so much value, especially compared to, like, Barzal, Dobson. So, I don't think 1-for-1 this would go through. It looks to be a little bit low. We'll try adding a first-round pick there with Sorokin for Petey. Canucks reject that, which, makes sense. They have Demko, but if the value is just too good where they say yes, say 2 first-round picks, they're still saying no. One thing we could do is actually add Barzal to this trade. He's from the Vancouver area, so the Canucks at this point probably just, flip Demko somewhere else. We got to take back Tyler Myers just for the salary to work. So Sorokin and Barzal for Petey and Myers the cap dump. Canucks still say no, but they did say just a bit low. So I'll try throwing on a second-round pick here, guys, see if this pushes the trade through. And there we go. So Sorokin, Barzal, and a second for Petey. That's kind of crazy. All right, guys, we're now taking over for the New York Rangers, who actually heard, some trade speculation around in regards to trading for Petey. I don't want to move Fox unless we absolutely have to, even Panarin. So I'm going to try trading Zibanejad along with Shesterkin. So similar to the Islanders trade, adding a first-round pick, as I think Shesterkin's got a bit less value than Sorokin. Let's see what the Canucks say. Myers is there for the cap dump again. They said no. I feel like, if you can get some really good goaltending at Jonathan Quick, you could live with giving Shesterkin up. And then, of course, Petey is an upgrade on Zibanejad. Canucks still say no to 2 firsts. So if they say no to 3 firsts here, we'll have to add like Panarin or even Adam Fox. They do say no. So I'll try Panarin here instead of Zibanejad with the 3 firsts and Shesterkin. Canucks still reject. Wow, okay. So I think what we'd have to do then, because that's literally the best offer we can make without Adam Fox, is trade over Adam Fox and then also take back. Kind of like the Draisaitl deal, I guess. We'll see if they'll give us 3 firsts with Petey for Fox. And they don't. They actually said no. What about 2 firsts? They said just a bit low. So Petey a first and a second for Fox. Now they're saying yes. I don't think that's a great trade at all for the Rangers. Fox is honestly so good. All right, guys. So now next year's the Ottawa Senators are offering up Timmy Stützle, who's obviously very good, but Petey is better in games 89 high elite. Jacob Chikrin here as well. There's been some trade rumors around. I don't think those alone would do it, so We'll throw in the Red Wings first round pick. It's got equal value to the Sens, even though, you know, the Red Wings probably making the playoffs. See what the Canucks say to this one. Myers again, just a cap dump. Trades rejected. So could try throwing on 2 firsts. Maybe Ottawa thinks they'll be a little bit better next year at that 2025. Trade is still rejected, but just a bit low. So Stuchla, Chikrin, 2 firsts and a second we'll try. I already did a third. They said no. That puts it through, but definitely setting Ottawa back. All right, guys, we're now looking at the Philadelphia Flyers here. They got Matthew Michkov, of course, highest valued player. In this roster, he's high elite. I know sometimes I've had him at medium franchise. Drysdale they just got. They're going to flip him. Plus, they're adding their first-round pick and Florida's first-round pick to try and get Petey. Let's see what the Canucks say. Trades rejected. Honestly, I thought that one might go through. I feel like, you know, their picks as well have a good amount of value, but let's try doing one of their first in 2025 instead of the Florida pick. Still rejected. Maybe 3 firsts makes this happen. And there you go. So Michkov, Drysdale, 3 firsts. For Elias Pettersson, that's a package for sure. All right, guys, next we have the Pittsburgh Penguins. I did see someone say something pretty funny on Twitter, which was just trade Crosby for Petey 1-for-1. Obviously, you know, some people might like Petey better, but Crosby plays pretty good in Vancouver. We know that. Pittsburgh trying to get younger. Canucks trying to compete right now. The value's nowhere close, but that's honestly just like a really interesting hypothetical trade. Now, Gensel apparently the Canucks are actually interested in, so I mean, Gensel and Sid apparently in this game is what it would cost you to get Petey, and we'd have to bring back Tyler Myers. Now, even though the Canucks are interested in Crosby and Gensel, I don't think that's enough, so we're also adding a first-round pick. Canucks there reject it. In real life, I don't think they're saying no to that. I think, especially if you trade Petey, you can afford to extend Gensel with Sid in a first. Now, 2 firsts here, they still say no. I think 3 firsts is actually like the best offer the Penguins can make here, and it looks like Canucks, yeah, they reject it. So Pittsburgh apparently can't get Petey, which is kind of insane. All right, guys, now trying to get Petey as the Sharks, I think the best chance they have is offering up the 2 Wills. That is Will Smith and Will Eklund, and then 3 first-round picks. Obviously, the pick in 2024, good chance to be first overall, get Celebrini. We can just say the 2024 pick would be first overall protected. So 3 first, Smith and Eklund for Pettersson, and they say no. That's the best offer the Sharks can make, so they can't get Petey either. And now next year, guys, we got the Seattle Kraken making the best offer they can. Matty Beniers, Shane Wright, Jared McCann, and a couple first-round picks. I think Canucks probably pass based on like the previous trades. And yeah, they do. So another team there that cannot get Petey. All right, guys, now next year we have the St. Louis Blues. Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, Pavel Buchnevich, the only guys really with a lot of value. We'll try Boots there and Kyrou, about $13 million. We'll take back Myers. I've also got 3 first-round picks. I think Canucks maybe say yes. Trades rejected. So we'd have to add Thomas in instead of one of these first. And then retain on Thomas a little bit there. I think Canucks still say no. And yeah, they do. So another team there cannot make a trade for Petey. All right, guys. Well, next year with the Tampa Bay Lightning, I feel like Brain Point for Petey 1-for-1. Very interesting. They're both 92 overall. $9.5 million there for points. So Canucks would actually save some money. Let's see if they do this 1-for-1. Trades rejected. Says just a bit low. Try adding like a second-round pick. And now they say yes. All right, guys. We're now looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs. Another interesting 1-for-1 trade we could do is Mitch Marner for Petey. 26 years old, 92 overall, so same rating. Again, because he's 26, I think the game gives him the high franchise. 10.9 for 2 more years. So basically, they're kind of pushing the extension out by 1. Let's see what the Canucks say. Trades rejected, again, just a bit low. So I think we know from other deals, probably have to give up a second-round pick. And yeah, I just tried a third-rounder. They said no. Wow, the Leafs have to go to 2027 to get a second-round pick. And the Canucks say yes. And I gotta say, too, after that trade, the Leafs would have to have the best, like, 1, 2, 3 in the league. Matthews, Petey, Tavares would just be insane. All right, guys, and now next year, the Vegas Golden Knights. I mentioned his name earlier with Jack Eichel, of course. Very good player, 26 years old there, 90 overall. Not as good as Petey. Shea Theodore, I think, is actually from the Vancouver area. Very good offensive defenseman. So I'm gonna try trading these 2 with a couple firsts, taking back Myers' contract. See what the Canucks say. They do like Eichel and Theodore, and it's rejected. Maybe 3 firsts. We'll get this to go through. This is kind of seeming like the Detroit trade a bit, although Slider did have high elite. 3 firsts they say no to. Actually, guys, I can make one last offer here just for curiosity's sake. Jack Eichel, 50% retained. Mark Stone, the captain. Obviously a very good 2-way winger. And then we're taking back Ian Cole again, and just for the salary. I think this is pretty much best offer we can make is Vegas. And the Canucks still say no. All right, guys, we now have the Washington Capitals. Honestly, I think all they can do is offer up Karlsson and a bunch of firsts. I'm pretty sure Ovechkin has like less value than a first-round pick, which is kind of crazy. I'm just going to compare it here. And yeah, Ovi does have less value than a first. We're going to offer up Karlsson plus 4 first-round picks for Petey. See what the Canucks say. And trade rejected. So yeah, Capitals can't get him either. All right, guys, so our final team here is the Winnipeg Jets. Going to try trading over Kyle Connor and Josh Morrissey. I feel like that alone in real life would honestly probably get it done. But I think in-game we'd have to add at least 1 first-round pick. And as you can see there, the Canucks still say no. I think Connor's a very, very good player. One of the better goal scorers in the league. Morrissey, of course, has emerged as a true #1 defenseman. 2 first-round picks. Canucks are still saying no. Actually, you know what, guys? I totally forgot. Carter Hellebuyck exists. Let's try trading him along with Kyle Connor, Josh Morrissey, all 3 of these guys. I'll take back Myers there for the contract. Still trades rejected. Try adding a first-round pick. Doesn't work. We'll try adding a second first-round pick. I feel like Vancouver's making out like bandits. They're saying no, saving money to resign players. I think it's the best offer could possibly make. Hellebuyck, Connor, Morrissey, and a couple firsts. They still say no. Wow. That's insane to me. Again, this is on easy difficulty, so it shows you just how hard it is to get, some of the superstars in this game. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comment section whether or not you think Elias Pettersson is going to get traded. But until then, hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, leave that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
In Swedish way, it's Elias Pettersson. With that said, I don't mind however you guys say it.